Hello Irlandia, the Polish show on 103.2 Dublin City FM. Join Hello Irlandia every Thursday at 8:30 to listen to the best of Polish music and community stories in Polish. Hello Irlandia w 103 i 2 Dublin City FM. Nasz głos na Zielonej Wyspie.
I have to confess that I was interested in the story for an Irish reason, because we've had concerns here about the relationship between government and judges, and it's Poland now has been criticised by the EU, and they had grave concerns about the erosion of democratic standards in the country. In the studio with me is Dr. Wojciech Kostka of the Polonia in Dublin. You might first of all explain Polonia to me.
Well, I think I need to correct. It's a Forum Polonia.
Forum Polonia, okay.
And Forum Polonia is an umbrella organization of Polish diaspora, which is linked to several ones in Ireland, which tries to provide information about Poland, the events happening in our home country in an unbiased, objective way.
Okay, and there are about 150,000 Poles in Ireland.
Officially, a bit lower number should be cited, like 130,000. But as I said, it's very hard to pin down.
Sure. But 150 is a reasonable ballpark figure.
Exactly.
So they're a group that have to be taken very seriously because they have a view. Now, what's happening back home for you in relation to these judges?
Well, actually, back in home since 2015, when the election happened and the new government was installed, the political dispute in Poland became very forceful. And since then, we have a very strong orientated government which is determined to change plenty of things. Some are happy about them, some not. But on the other side, we have a first of all opposition which is very unhappy about the changes which are being introduced, not only in the area of the judiciary, which we are talking today about, but in many other areas as well.
Well, the EU is concerned about what's happening with the judiciary. So what are they doing? I mean, it's a principle of any democracy that the judiciary is independent. I mean, that's the first principle of democracy. Now, Poland, I think, is a country that has valued democracy and has seen it trampled on by various invaders over its history. So therefore, I would have thought Poland would be very conscious of the independence of its judiciary, surely.
You are very much right, George, about the assessment of our love towards freedom and the democracy at the same time. What happens in Poland is that the current government is very much of the opinion that the change of the system in Poland from the communistic one into the democratic one was not accomplished because our judiciary system has never been actually reformed to the extent that would ensure that the judges who are in practice are or have not ever been involved in any relationship with the communistic state. And what is now the government doing is the huge overhaul of the judiciary system, which actually, and that's important point, according to the European Commission, is actually threatening the rule of law in Poland. And that is a very serious allegation, which I'm more than happy to explain, of course, about the details.
Yeah, but the situation, though, is when I was talking about Lenin earlier on. Now, one of the first things Lenin did was to get rid of judges and the police, because he knew he couldn't have a communist state with a judiciary and a police force that were independent. Now, is this new, and the EU seems to think it is this new system of judges, is it about the appointment of judges or the sacking of judges, or what? What is the threat here to the judiciary in Poland?
It's actually about both dismissing and appointing judges. I will give you two examples because I think they show in the best way what we are talking about. First of all, the Supreme Court. As in Ireland, Poland has a Supreme Court, and so far the Supreme Court was working in such a way that the National Council for the Judiciary was presenting candidates as it is in case of Ireland. However, in case of Ireland, it's presented to government, and then the government is suggesting the presented candidates. But the thing was that the judiciary itself was presenting candidates, and then the president was taking decisions. According to the law which is now proposed, which is not yet in place because it was vetoed by the president following a huge backlash back in home, the Minister of Justice will have a right to decide about the ceasing of the tenure of any judge of the Supreme Court unless he decides that some of them should stay. And the president will have no say whether he can actually remain any judge which is not to the liking of the justice minister. That's the first thing.
Okay, and the second thing?
And the second thing is that at the same time, as I mentioned, National Council of the Judiciary, which is the self-governing body of the judiciary of the judges in Poland, so far they had a right to appoint to their council judges to some extent. Out of 25, 15 were actually chosen by the self-governing body. Now the new provisions are suggesting or saying that those judges will be chosen by the parliament. And obviously the parliament is currently politically controlled by the Law and Justice Party, which brings another threat to the stability and independence of the judiciary in Poland. So the commission...
the thing here is, it doesn't really matter whether it's Poland, the USA, or Ireland.
Yeah.
The idea that political parties would appoint judges, although you got to remember, we did this for a long time in this country, you know? For a long time, if Fianna Fáil were in power, then the judges were essentially people who had an allegiance to Fianna Fáil, and ones who had allegiance to Fine Gael never got to be judges, and we succeeded in working out okay.
But there is important difference, because in case of Ireland, even though those people could be linked to Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, or any other party, there was still independent body, and if I'm correct, in Ireland this is called the Judicial Appointment Advisory Board, which was presenting candidates.
That's new, though. That didn't exist for 100 years. That didn't exist for 100 years of our country. It has recently come in. I'd like to ask you one other thing, because you're a proud Pole. Angela Merkel has criticised Poland for this issue. Does Angela Merkel, does Germany have the right to criticise Poland about anything?
Well, that answer will come from me as an expert, political scientist, not on behalf of Forum Polonia, because we don't have a
personal opinion.
Yes, that's my personal opinion. My personal opinion is that we are in the same club as Germany, the European Union.
Yeah.
We voluntarily signed up to be in this club, and I think that following that, and having in mind that we are in the 2017 and not 1946, let's say, Germany, as any other member of the EU, has a right to create opinions on the situation in any other member state, as we have as Poland.
All right, but George maybe is in 1946, and maybe Wojciech is in 2017.
Yeah.
No, but the thing is that Poland's history and its history with Germany surely means that Angela Merkel, there could have been, there are 26, 27 nations in the EU. Any of those could have spoken about it, but it was a German premier who chose to speak about it.
Actually, it was a different way. And many others were speaking about that, but Germany voiced its opinion only after it came to the conclusion that the situation became so difficult and urgent that they have to speak. And that is the important thing. What I want to say is that when Angela Merkel says that she cannot hold her tongue anymore on the situation of rule of law in Poland, I make a comparison, which could be maybe going quite far, but I think it's a correct comparison. This statement from Merkel is, in my opinion, equivalent of Trump tweet of a kind like fury and fire towards the Korea. In Merkel word, of course, because she would never go so far like Trump in the meaning of stating things, but in my opinion, her saying this sends this signal that the red line was crossed.
By Poland.
Yes, and that now has to be tackled.
All right, and finally, and it's really a yes or no answer, do you believe it will be tackled, and do you believe it will change?
I believe that we are on the verge of the Council, European Council, taking a decision that there is a systematic risk to the rule of law in Poland, and that the Council will decide about launching Article 7 of the treaty, which means that Poland can be stripped out of the voting powers in the EU and have a huge repercussions relating also to the infringement procedures in relation to the Court of Justice and our judiciary system.
All right. Dr. Wojciech Kostka, Forum Polonia?
Yes, that's correct.
Based in Dublin, and my thanks to him. A long time ago, a British Prime Minister said didn't need to worry about Czechoslovakia because Czechoslovakia was a long way away and they spoke a foreign language. As my guest has said, we're now all in that club, foreign language or no. And democracy in Poland is a very important issue for us, and I'm delighted to that we had somebody to talk to us about that, and we can wait and see what happens next. And it's probably a real test of where the European Union stands in democracy for all the members of the club. Coming up next, The Hook Health Checkup with Dr. Ciara Kelly.